Hello, and thank you for tuning into this virtual lightning talk on the heat of the action, novel insights from autoethnographic research on physical cultures by myself, Professor Jacqueline Allen Collinson, Dr. Anu Vaitinan, Dr. George Jennings, and Dr. Helen Houghton. Our talk is based on a research programme comprising 4 different projects on lived experience of heat and thermoception in distance running, mixed martial arts, traditionalist Chinese martial arts, and boxing. So what do we actually mean by temperature work? This derives from symbolic interactions tradition in sociology, and it highlights how sensory work, or in our case temperature work, requires interpretation, meanings and meaning making and understanding generation in order to understand and communicate the sense of heat, or the senses of heat, and how we communicate these in interaction. Emergent from all 4 of our separate studies were key findings relating to the importance of temperature work involving thermoceptic somatic learning. So this is where we develop specific bodily ways of knowing and engaging in sense making developed within these specific physical cultural worlds. And these in turn and importantly shape how heat and cold are actually felt and experienced in the lived body. So we're going now to describe some of our findings. We first of all consider running and elemental touch in distance running. One of the key challenges facing us as runners is striking a balance between keeping sufficiently warm enough not to pull muscles and overheating. So here I describe some data. As I set off in the last rays of April sunshine down the hill towards the playing fields and river, dark lowering cloud obscures the hills on the other side of the valley. It looks as though it's going to pour down or snow heavily. Sure enough, the temperature is dropping rapidly, and an icy wind's edge chills my skin, which chafes against thin cotton t-shirt. As I continue, the thin wind is bitter against my body, but as my core begins to warm to the labour, a strange sensation comes over me, like baked Alaska in reverse. My wind-chilled outer skin is bitterly cold, grey-blue, but it seems as though just a few layers beneath the epidermis, my inner body is glow-warm orange.
Heat of the action in mixed martial arts. Sensations of hot and cold emerged as integral to developing embodied understanding and knowledge of MMA. In lived experience of MMA training, these sensations of inner heat become imbued with meaning. Towards the end of the stand-up sparring, my arms feel like jelly from grappling. The impact of takedowns and the perpetual movement from the ground to upright and back again. The bell to signal the end of the round can't come around quick enough. I gasp for air and suck it in through my nose to get my focus back before the bell goes again. Here we go. The muscles in my thighs are burning as I go for a takedown that ends up in a clinch. My movement is slowed down, arms are burning up, and my guard drops and bang, a right hook hits me. Keep your hands up, a voice screams inside my head. I keep going. The sensation of the burn, the exertion, makes me so acutely aware of the internal processes that are taking place in my muscles, lactic acid building up, and the burn of it from your body trying to break it down. The development of bodily know-how for MMA involves the skilled education of the senses, including thermoreception. This attunement enables the continuous development of and adjustment to the process of developing skilled movement capacities for action for MMA. Kick-punch combinations today, really working on improving the spin on my round kicks. The heat soon builds up on the ball of my front foot, giving me the sensory feedback that tells me I am spinning sufficiently to power the kicks. The heat of the action is also very literal, as practitioners' bodies engaged in practice generate heat through contact with one another as well as with their surrounding environment.
Back in the apartment, I run through the first floor, and gradually the body heat rises. The entire Braveheart soundtrack finally finishes. I come out of my stance, legs stiff and aching. Sitting down to read, I feel an electric current moving around the crown of the skull, warming my scalp and hair for at least 20 minutes following the training session. Even reading my book on the sofa, the sensation remains strong on top of the head. It is a chilly evening on the first day of December, and with the heater on and windows closed, I opt for my warm black hoodie in order to warm up and run through the first form without feeling a chill and risk catching a cold. So far, 3 months back into the UK after 5 years in Mexico, I feel strong and healthy, with no signs of illness. Running through gentle loosening exercises and the sustained stance training, I feel quite comfortable and begin the Sulun Tao form. However, midway through the form, just as I'm finishing the first half, on the left hand, I can't bear the build-up of body heat, which doesn't seem to pass through the tight hoodie. This isn't my loose and well-worn hoodie that I had used for years of weekly training, but a newer and a tighter one, which meant it clings to my frame. Great for keeping warm, but not so good when you aren't supposed to move.
I'm getting much more in freezing, but I'm sweating. So when I feel something, my body shuts down when I'm buzzing. I don't ignore it. Just so immersed. I'm getting much more in tune with my body. So when I feel something niggle nowadays, I don't ignore it. I ice it straight away, and it does wonders. My feet are freezing, but I'm sweating. Sometimes my body shuts down when I'm buzzing, and just so immersed in something else. After training, I see my 2 fingers are bright white, and suddenly I find myself shivering. I realise that my body's been shutting down. Quickly, I have to try and get warm before it gets worse, but it's harder to warm up again, especially after I finish training, so I have to try and be somewhere warm.
Thank you for listening to this talk on temperature work. You can find updates for our research project at the following link.